The grand hall of the Galactic Peace Council was filled with light, noise, and pride. Aliens of all shapes and sizes sat around the long circular table. Glowing skin, metal limbs, wings, horns, every kind of being from across the galaxy was. There in the middle of it all sat a man, simple suit, calm eyes, soft smile. His name was Ambassador James Walker. He was the only human in the room. James sat straight, hands folded, quiet but not afraid. He had been trained for this. Earth had sent him to keep peace. But he knew what these aliens thought of humans: weak, to polite, to soft. The meeting began, Chancellor. Vroth of the Krax Empire stood up. He was 9 feet tall, with 4 arms and sharp green teeth. He pointed one long claw at James. "Ambassador Walker," he growled, "your kind always smiles. But you smile like prey, not power." The hall laughed. Some slammed their fists on the table. Others clicked their claws. James did not react. He only smiled. "Peace begins with politeness," he said softly. Vroth smirked. "Peace begins with fear." James looked at him, calm. "Fear only controls the weak." The hall quieted a little. A few alien leaders shifted in their seats. Some had fought humans before and knew not to push too far. But Vroth didn't stop. He walked around the table slowly, eyes locked on. "James, your people wear nice clothes, speak kind words. But inside, you're just trained animals, pets of your own systems, slaves to your manners." James took a deep breath. His fingers tapped on the table once, twice, then stopped. He stood. The hall watched, expecting anger, maybe fear. But James simply adjusted his suit, looked Vroth in the eyes, and said, "Noted. Nothing else. No threat. Right? No warning. Just that." One word and a smile. But it was not the same smile. This one was colder after the meeting. James walked through the hallway alone. Behind him, alien reporters whispered. Cameras followed. He touched a small chip on his wrist. "A hidden com. Earth command. Log this transmission," he said. "They've chosen mockery. No respect. Send the Black Protocol briefing to my private channel. Do not activate. Yet, stop walking as a group of young alien soldiers." Blocked his way? They looked like a street gang, not official guards. Their armor was scratched and dirty. Their leader, a blue-skinned creature with 6 eyes, stepped forward. "We don't like humans smiling here," he hissed. "Makes us feel like you know something we don't." James looked him over. He said nothing. "Answer me, meatbag," the soldier barked. James spoke in a calm voice. "Do you want to die here today?" The hallway went silent. The soldier laughed nervously. "You think I'm scared?" James walked closer. "You think I'm smiling because I'm scared?" He didn't blink. "I smile because I already know how this ends." The soldiers hesitated. One of them stepped back. Another whispered, "He's the Earth rep. He's dangerous." Their leader hissed again but waved his hand. "Let the coward pass." James walked through without a word. Behind him, the group stayed quiet. Back in his ship, James looked at the stars outside his window. He didn't like war. He didn't want violence. But peace only worked when both sides respected the table. And today, they had flipped the table. His AI assistant, named Gideon, spoke in his ear. "Sir, the full recording of the meeting is uploaded to Earth Command. Would you like to review?" James shook his head. "No need. I was there. Do you believe they understand what they've done?" James didn't answer right away. He stood up and poured himself a glass of water. "They think we're too kind," he said. "They think our silence is weakness." They drank. "They don't know that kindness is something we choose. Ours." Later, in a private room deep in the Krax homeworld, Vroth watched a video. It was old footage. Human soldiers fighting off an invasion. Not with rage. With precision. Not with fear. With cold discipline. Vroth frowned. He had heard rumors that when humans stop smiling, things die. His advisor entered. "Sir, the human ambassador sent a gift. A book. A book. Yes. It's called The Art of War." Vroth opened it. The first line read, "All warfare is based on deception." He felt cold for the first time in years, back in space. James sent one last message before sleep. They mocked the smile. Let's see how they handle the storm. His ship drifted quietly through the stars, but silence doesn't mean safety, and smiles don't always mean peace. James Walker sat inside his private quarters on the ship Unity 1, orbiting above the Crack's homeworld. Stars outside were quiet. His hands rested on the table. A cup of untouched tea sat nearby, still warm, but James didn't touch it. He was watching the council meeting replay. His own face appeared on the screen. Calm, polite, silent, they think we're harmless. He said quietly to himself, "They don't understand. We gave them every chance." The door opened with a soft beep. Commander Lin, a short woman with sharp eyes and a quiet voice, stepped inside. "Sir," she said, "Earth Command confirmed. Black Protocol is ready. To activate, just say the word." James shook his head. "Not yet, sir." Lin blinked. "I want to give them one more chance to act like adults," James said, "before we remind them what humans become when pushed." Next day, James returned to the Galactic Peace Council. The aliens were louder than before. News had spread. Earth was angry. Nobody liked an angry human. But they hid their fear behind jokes. Vroth was there again, pretending to smile. "Ah, the polite monkey returns," he said loudly, still smiling, Ambassador. James gave a short nod. "Always, Chancellor." Even when surrounded by fools. The hall fell quiet. Even the arrogant ones heard the edge in James's voice. After the meeting, James met secretly with two alien leaders, Lady Threx of the Jashari and Admiral Gulan of the Veneri Empire. Both had worked with humans during the Frontier Wars. They had seen what Earth could do. Lady Threx had violet skin and a crown made of living stone. Her voice was low. "Why do you wait, James?" she asked. "We warned them not to insult Earth, yet you still try for peace." James looked tired, because if we choose war, there will be no empire left to speak to. Gulan nodded slowly. "We remember Earth's warships. Silent, efficient, ruthless." James turned to him. "I want this on record. I tried. I warned them. When the storm comes, the history books must know. It wasn't Earth that fired first." Back on Unity 1, James activated a small silver disk. A blue hologram appeared. Earth's High Command. "Ambassador Walker?" The voice said. "Status?" James leaned forward. "Initiate Phase 1. Begin quiet movement of fleets. No public alerts. Prepare echo teams." "Understood." Black Protocol Phase 1 is live. He shut off the link and stood by the window. Outside, one by one, humans stealth. Ships began to uncloak from deep space. No lights. No sound. Just shadows moving in the dark. Meanwhile, on the Crack's homeworld, strange things began happening. Their defense grid glitched for 2 seconds, just long enough for someone to map their weaknesses. A major power plant shut. Down for 10 minutes? Technical issue, they said. A government building's doors opened for 3 seconds, just enough for a drone to pass through unnoticed. No alarms. No messages, just silence, and James kept smiling. Later that night, Vroth received a package in his chamber. He opened it to find a small, old-fashioned pen. No message, no paper, just the pen. His advisor frowned. "What does it mean?" Vroth stared. At it, the pen was engraved with human writing. "The pen is mightier than the sword, unless the sword is human." He threw it across the room, but the chill in his spine stayed. James sat in his quarters, talking to his AI Gideon.
"How are the fleets?"
Gideon replied, "All human dreadnoughts are in position. Shadow units are ready on 5 planets. Civilian. Media remains unaware." James nodded. "And the message I sent to the Cracks command received?" Ignored. James closed his eyes. "Then we wait." Gideon paused, then added, "May I ask something, sir?" "Go ahead." "Do you ever get tired of being polite to those who spit on it?" James looked out the window, voice soft. "Every day." The next morning, the council met again. This time, James brought a small case with him. He placed it on the table. Vroth narrowed his eyes. A gift? Ambassador? Or a threat? James smiled gently. Neither, just information. He opened the case. Inside was a data crystal. It showed footage. Cracks guards bullying human diplomats. Alien soldiers laughing as a human scientist was dragged away. Vroth mocking humans on. Record every word. Every moment. In front of every race in the galaxy, gasps filled the room. Even the arrogant ones looked shocked. This is propaganda, Vroth shouted. James stood. This is truth, he said, and truth doesn't need to shout. It simply waits until it's time. He picked up the case and walked out without another word. That night, the stars blinked across the sky. A coded signal was sent from Unity. One. A single word. Ready. And across space, in the dark corners of forgotten skies, humanity's patience came to an end. The Cracks prison facility was hidden deep under the surface of their homeworld. Cold walls, no sunlight, no names, only numbers. Inside, Cell 17B sat Dr. Leah Morgan, young human scientist from Earth. Her face was bruised, her left arm was in a sling, but her eyes were sharp, filled with quiet anger. She had come to the Cracks capital to help with energy research. Peaceful work, kind work. But when James Walker embarrassed Vroth at the council, the Cracks wanted revenge, so they found the easiest target, Leah, and they made a mistake at the Galactic Council headquarters. James Walker waited quietly as the meeting started. He had not slept in 36 hours. His suit was perfect, his face calm, but the smile was gone. Chancellor Vroth entered late, smirking. I hope you're not angry about your little scientist ambassador, he said loudly. She was trespassing in a restricted zone. James looked at him. His voice was flat. You beat a civilian. A peaceful guest. Vroth shrugged. She resisted arrest. James stood up, walked to the center of the room, and placed a data chip on the table. This is a live feed from Cell 17B, he said. Leading, no medical help, no trial. The council members looked uneasy. Some turned away. Others whispered, but Vroth only laughed. You humans act like rules matter. But rules are made by the strong. James stared at him in silence, then said one word, enough. Back on Unity 1, Commander Lin stood beside the large tactical screen. Red dots blinked across the galaxy. Enemy systems, one by one. Blue dots, Earth fleets, began to move, silent, coordinated, unstoppable. Orders confirmed, Lin said. Shadow team is en route to the prison. ETA, 2 hours. James nodded. No civilian casualties. No noise, just results. At the prison, 2 Cracks guards laughed as they watched Leah struggle to sit up. Still pretending to be brave? One of them hissed. Leah looked up and smiled. You're already dead. You just don't know it yet. The guards frowned. Then, alarms blared. Too late. Shadow team dropped silently through the air ducts. No sound, no footsteps. The first 2 guards didn't even scream. Just a flash of steel and a whisper of air. The third tried to run and vanished in a cloud of smoke. Leah sat calmly as her cell door opened. A tall human soldier stood there, helmet black, eyes glowing red under the visor. Dr. Morgan, we're here to bring you home, she smiled. Took you long enough. 15 minutes later, Unity 1 received the message. Package secured. No losses. Exfil complete. James finally exhaled. His fists unclenched, but it wasn't over. The next morning, James walked into the council chamber. No case, no smile, just silence. He stood in the center and looked at the alien leaders. We rescued our scientist. She is safe. But the message is not just about her. He turned slowly. For years, Earth showed patience, kindness, respect. He looked directly at Vroth. But when you hurt one of ours, you don't just insult Earth. You invite consequences. Vroth scoffed. You think your little rescue scares us? James stepped forward, voice cold. I don't need you to be scared. He leaned in slightly. I just need you to understand, the line is gone. The chain is broken. On the Crack's homeworld, within hours, dozens of secret facilities went dark. Communications jammed. Military satellites blinded. Earth's stealth drones painted every cracks. Base with invisible targeting lasers, nobody fired. But every general knew they were locked. One wrong move, and the sky would fall. Back at Earth Command, analysts reviewed data. Ambassador Walker has ended the peace period, one said. Yes. Then war. Another asked. The general in charge simply replied, not war, not yet. This is the warning. James received a private message from Lady Threx. Is this the storm? James. He replied with 2 words. Not yet. On the edge of crack space, one of Earth's hidden dreadnoughts powered up. The ship, EHS Revenant, was a monster, silent and black, like a shadow that ate stars. Its captain received a single word from command. Wait. And so they did, like a knife held to a throat, not cutting. Yet in his quarters, James watched a live feed of Leah resting safely in medical care. Her face was calm now, no bruises, no pain. He whispered to himself, they hurt the wrong one. His smile returned, but this time it had no warmth. In the dark silence of space, the EHS Revenant hovered like a sleeping beast. No lights, no signals. Just a cold black hole built for one purpose, to remind the galaxy that Earth had claws. Inside the command center, Captain Rios watched the stars. His crew sat quiet, waiting. Orders remain unchanged, Rios said. Do not fire. But be ready? The crew nodded. Every hand was steady. Every eye serious. They all knew. This was still on the table, but the gun was loaded. Back at the Galactic Peace Council, things were tense. Alien leaders argued in whispers. Some blamed Earth for threatening peace. Others said, we warned you not to push them. Roth sat proudly, still pretending to be fearless. They won't attack, he growled. They're just playing games. James Walker entered the hall with slow steps. Calm, formal, no smile. He carried a small black box. He walked to the center, placed the box on the table, pressed a button. A hologram appeared. Video footage. It showed Earth's fleet dreadnoughts, destroyers, black stealth ships, satellites ready to strike. Then, a map of Crack's territory, every military site marked, tracked, and locked. The room froze. No sound, no breath. Then James spoke. You hurt one of ours. We responded with mercy. He looked around the room. This is the last time we give mercy. Roth stood, angry. You threaten us with war? James didn't blink. No, I remind you of reality. He pressed another button. The hologram changed. Now it showed Cracks, soldiers dragging Dr. Leah Morgan through a hallway. Then a still image, her face, bruised and bleeding. This is what you call peace. After the meeting, the council was shaken. Even species that didn't like Earth stayed quiet. Nobody wanted to be the next target. Lady Threx met James in a private chamber. You've made your move, she said. Now they must choose. James nodded. They have one last chance, and if they refuse, she asked. He looked at her, voice steady, and we stop asking. I got it. Back on the Crack's homeworld, panic had begun to grow. Their intelligence officers reported that 5 of their secret black sites had already been scanned and mapped by unknown drones. 3 warships disappeared near the edge of their border. No wreckage, no distress signals, just ... gone. One general tried to call it coincidence. The others stayed silent. Verth called a war meeting with his advisors. He slammed his fist on the table. We cannot let the humans win with silence. We must strike first. One advisor, old and wise, spoke carefully. Sir, the humans haven't fired, but they've already won. Roth growled. How? The advisor looked up. Because every Crack soldier is now afraid. That's how they win, not with bombs, but with fear before the first shot. Meanwhile, James sat in his quarters. Aboard Unity 1, Gideon, his AI, spoke softly. All teams report ready, sir. Shadow fleets are at full strength. Civilian population unaware. James looked at Earth through the window, a tiny blue dot in the dark. How did it come to this? Gideon asked. James sighed. Because they thought our kindness was weakness, because they didn't believe the warnings. He stood. Earth doesn't do warnings twice. The next day, the final message was sent. A simple communication from Earth Command to the Galactic Council. Final. Warning delivered. All peaceful channels used. Standing by for next directive. The aliens who read the message felt a chill. No threats. No anger. Just a quiet end to patience. Across the galaxy, Earth's ambassadors stepped down from diplomacy roles, trade ships, left neutral zones, satellite beacons that kept peace, went offline. It wasn't war, but it wasn't peace either. It was something worse. The silence before judgment. On the Crack's homeworld, alarms sounded. A spaceport exploded. No deaths, just fire. A warning. Their capital power grid shut down for 47 seconds. Long enough to cause panic in the skies. Strange shadows moved, invisible ships that couldn't be tracked. Then a message appeared on every Crack screen, not a voice, just words. You pushed, you mocked, you hurt, now you watch. Back on Unity 1, Commander Lin received an alert. She turned to James. Sir, Good Crack's government is requesting emergency peace talks. James's face was unreadable. Do they admit fault? Lin checked the message. No, just misunderstanding. No apology. James nodded slowly. Then they still think we're joking. He tapped the table. Bring the Revenant to visual range of their capital. No weapons fire. Just let them see it. 30 minutes later, a shadow passed over the Crack's capital. People ran outside, pointing at the sky. The EHS Revenant hovered above like a black god. No sound, no movement, just presence. And every Cracks knew if that ship opened fire, their world would become ash dot that night. Vroth held a speech on galactic media. His voice was shaky. We respect our human partners. There were mistakes. We will improve our diplomatic behavior. We look forward to a future of mutual respect. James watched the broadcast, then leaned back. That's not an apology, Lin said. James stood. No, but it's a start. And deep in the stars, Earth's ships stood silent, still watching, still ready. Still. Remembering because Earth doesn't do warnings twice. 2 weeks had passed since the EHS Revenant appeared over the Crack's capital. The galaxy had gone quiet. No wars. No peace agreements. Just silence. Everyone waited. The Cracks gave public statements full of polite words, but no real apology. Earth said nothing in reply. But Earth was not still. Earth was watching and preparing, inside the war room of Unity 1. James Walker stood before a large digital map of the galaxy. Dots glowed red, high-threat alien factions. Blue showed Earth's expanding influence. And in between, yellow dot the uncertain ones. They're choosing sides now, Commander Lin said. James nodded. And they'll choose based on what happens. Next, he turned to his team. It's time to show the galaxy what comes after our politeness dies. Far from the political centers, on the planet Verna 6, a human farming colony was under attack. A minor alien pirate group, the Ursa, had ignored all warnings. They thought Earth was distracted. They thought Earth was soft. So they attacked a small, peaceful colony. They destroyed homes, took prisoners, killed children. That was their last mistake. 12 hours later, an Earth-repaid response fleet arrived. They didn't broadcast. They didn't negotiate. They descended fast, silent, surgical by. The time the Urka noticed, it was already too late. Their ships exploded from the inside, hacked, and detonated. Their weapons melted. Their command center was wiped from orbit, and their leader, publicly captured, tried in front of a galactic court, sentenced by a human judge. The message was clear. Even if no one else protects the weak, we will. Across the galaxy, everyone saw the footage. Humans weren't smiling anymore. They weren't asking for respect. They were taking it back on Unity 1. Gideon the AI spoke quietly. Sir, 5 smaller alien factions have requested formal alliances with Earth. They say they trust us more than their old allies. James raised an eyebrow. Why? Because we respond. Fast, decisive, without games. Commander Lin smiled. Slightly, they finally see that Earth doesn't bluff. James didn't smile back. No, he said. They see something scarier. That Earth has rules, and when you break them, we don't scream. We end you. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council, shift had begun. Alien races that once laughed at humans now sat quietly when James entered. Some even stood when he walked in. Vroth hadn't been seen in days. Rumor said he had fled the capital in fear. Nobody missed him. James took the council floor one final time. He spoke to the galaxy calm and cold. You mocked our kindness. We forgave. You tested our limits, he warned. You hurt our people, we answered. He paused. From this day, Earth offers peace only to those who earn it. Harm us once we talk. Harm us. Twice we remember. Harm us 3 times. He looked directly into the camera, and there will be nothing left to speak to. Across a dozen planets, humans cheered. Across 100 alien worlds, leaders sat in silence, and in the shadows of deep space, Earth's fleets kept moving. They didn't wait anymore. They acted, they protected, and they punished. On Earth, in a quiet office in Geneva, an old historian recorded the events in a digital journal. Her fingers typed slowly as she whispered the title of her next paper, Politeness is Overrated, The Rise of the Human Boundary Doctrine. She paused and added one last line. They didn't understand what happened until the smiles stopped. On Vernus 6, a child who had survived the attack stood on a hill with her father, watching the stars. Dad, she asked. Safe now. He pointed to a dark dot in the sky, barely visible. A human warship. As long as that stays up there. Yes, we are. James Walker sat alone in his quarters that night. He looked at old photos, Earth cities, smiling children, crowded markets. He whispered to himself. We tried to be better, Gideon replied softly. But they wouldn't let us. James nodded. Now they'll live with the version they created. The Galactic Council chamber was nearly empty. For centuries it had been the heart of diplomacy, peace talks, and trade deals. Now the chairs were cold. The air was quiet. Because the galaxy had changed, and everyone was afraid to admit it. Earth didn't wear the mask anymore. Not the soft smiles. Not the calm voices. Not the endless patience. That version of humanity, the friendly diplomats. The peaceful explorers was gone. What stood in its place? Unapologetic justice. In a secret meeting beneath council headquarters, 6 alien leaders gathered. The Shalton envoy whispered, if we don't stop them now, there'll be no balance. Left. A Vonnery elder shook her head. We had our chance. We laughed at them, mocked them now. We are ants standing before a storm. But the humans, said the Drask warlord, they were always hiding this power, always pretending to be. Weaker? The Shalton envoy replied, no, they were trying not to use it. And now the mask was gone, and the galaxy could finally see the face behind it. On the human dreadnought EHS Revenant, Captain Rios stood at the command deck. Fleet of pirate ships had just tried to raid Earth's supply route near the Turn-X belt. Big mistake. Targeting complete, the weapons officer said. All hostiles confirmed. No civilians. Another reported. Rios raised his hand. Execute. 10 seconds later, space lit up like a storm. 12 enemy ships gone. No speeches, no broadcasts, just precision, punishment, and silence. Back on Earth. News anchors didn't use words like diplomacy anymore. They used new ones. Strike teams. No tolerance zones. Justice operations. And the people approved. Because Earth had spent too long trying to be nice. Too long being laughed at. Tricked and hurt. Now it was time to burn the mask. At Unity 1, James Walker sat at a strategy table with Commander Lin and Fleet Admiral Cho. The holographic display showed new trouble. The Gorath Combine, an aggressive empire that had just seized 2 neutral colonies. One of them had 300 human workers. No signal. No response. No survivors confirmed. How do we respond? Lynn asked. James looked up slowly. We don't respond, sir. Admiral Cho blinked. We remove them. Within 6 hours, Earth launched Operation Hammerlight 5 fleets. 0. Warnings. The Gorath system went dark in one night. Command centers wiped. Fuel depots melted. Orbital stations turned to ash. The Gorath Emperor tried to call for surrender. Earth didn't answer. The next day, James addressed the Council not as a diplomat, but as the enforcer of Earth's new doctrine. He stepped up to the center.com, confident, unmasked. You've seen what happens when you test us. You've seen what happens when you harm us. Now see what happens when we stop holding back. He placed a new document on the table. Simple, short, direct, the boundary doctrine: Earth will protect its own, anywhere, anytime, without permission. Earth will strike first if threatened. No more warnings, no more debates. Silence followed, then the sorry ambassador stood slowly. We accept. We will not challenge Earth's boundaries. One by one, others followed. Some in fear, some in respect, some in respect, some in shame. Deep inside a war camp of the last pirate faction left, a young alien soldier asked her captain, "Are we really going to fight the humans?" The captain looked at the night sky and whispered, "We already lost, just haven't died." Yet, James Walker stood alone at the observation deck of Unity 1, looking out into the endless stars. Commander Lin joined him quietly. "Sir, Intel reports no hostile activity for 72 hours. They're learning," James said softly. "Or hiding," Lin added. James nodded. "Either way, they understand now. We were never weak. It's just polite." He glanced at the stars again, and we've burned that mask forever. Far from Earth, on a mining colony once ignored by the galaxy, children now played safely in the open. Their teacher smiled and said, "Why aren't you scared anymore?" One small boy replied, "Because Earth is watching." The teacher looked up at the sky and smiled too, at a human memorial station above Luna. The name of Dr. Leah Morgan was carved in a monument titled, "The Line They Shouldn't Have Crossed." Tourists passed by and whispered the story of the day the galaxy woke up, the day kindness ended, and power spoke. The galaxy had gone quiet. No raids, no threats. No sudden messages demanding Earth's attention. But the silence wasn't peace. It was fear. And fear changes everything. On the planet Zenthra, once a stronghold for anti-human voices, giant statues of their great leaders were being taken down. Old banners were burned. History books were rewritten overnight. The people had seen what Earth could do, and no one wanted to be next in the shadows. Smaller factions held emergency meetings not to plan war, but to survive. The Rigzori Union, known for ignoring human orders, now wore Earth's flag on their uniforms. They declared, "Earth is their protector, just to stay alive." Their leader said on public broadcast, "Better a human ally than a human target." Inside the Unity 1 war room, the mood had changed. There were no active threats, no urgent missions. And yet, James Walker didn't look satisfied. Commander Lin entered with a datapad. "Sir, we've received 12 new requests for military protection. 3 old enemy states want human oversight on their defense policies." James raised an eyebrow. "All because they're afraid." Lin nodded. "Yes, sir. The fear is working." James walked to the large galaxy map. Red zones were now gray, gray turning to blue. "Fear is a tool," he said, "but it's not a home." In the hidden corridors of the Galactic Council, the remaining alien diplomats whispered to one another, "The humans won't stop. They don't need war now. They just walk in, and everyone obeys." "What do we call it now?" Ambassador said quietly. "We used to call it diplomacy. Now, it's gravity. And Earth is the center." On a distant moon called Tarnus 5, underground movement began. But it wasn't a rebellion. It was a religion. The humans were seen not just as strong, but divine. Leaders preached, They rose from kindness and became gods of justice. Built shrines not to gods of old, but to the EHS Revenant, the black dreadnought that never spoke. Back on Earth, civilians noticed changes to more ships in the skies, less news of violence, safer colonies, but also something colder. People no longer smiled as often. Trade with other alien worlds had dropped. Earth didn't need them anymore. Children grew up learning different lessons now. One textbook read, "When kindness is punished, strength must answer." Another, "Speak softly, carry justice, and never bow." James sat in a garden on Unity 1, watching the stars. Alone, Gideon, the ship's AI, spoke gently. "Sir, people are beginning to ask, who are we now?" James leaned back. "We were forced to change, but will we ever go back?" Gideon asked. James closed his eyes for a moment. "Maybe. Someday. But not yet." "Why?" "Because they're still afraid." In a secret alien archive, historians updated the records. First contact. Humans arrived with peace. The turning point. Dr. Leah Morgan incident. Post-Politeness era. No more warnings. One line was highlighted in red. They were gentle, until we gave them reasons not to be. Are humans monsters? The mother thought carefully, then said, "No, they're just tired of pretending to be small." On Zenthra, a group of alien children gathered around a human soldier. He wasn't smiling, but he wasn't cruel. One child asked, "Why did you come here?" He answered simply, "To make sure no one hurts you." Another asked, "Will you leave when it's safe?" The soldier looked into the sky. "That depends on your people." In a council backroom, a secret message was sent. From a rogue alien general to an unknown contact, "We must unite. Before Earth becomes too strong," reply came seconds later. "It's already too late." James stood at a large window, looking at Earth from orbit. Commander Lin walked in.
Aye, sir.
"A coalition of alien leaders is planning something." "Revenge?" he asked. "Fear they're afraid we'll take everything?" James's voice was low. "We never wanted everything. We just wanted peace." Lin replied, "But fear doesn't care what we want." James turned from the window. "Then we need to finish this, for fear builds something worse than war." The galaxy had changed forever. No one laughed at humans anymore. No one tested Earth's patience. But something darker had started growing in the silence. Fear had united the weak. Whispers of rebellion floated in deep space. Secret meetings. Hidden. Plans not for survival, but revenge. On a cold, dead moon far from the Galactic Council's eyes, a fleet was being built. Old enemies, wounded empires, bitter leaders who had lost everything to Earth's justice. They called themselves the Red Pact, and their goal was simple: make humanity bleed. Inside the war room of Unity 1, Commander Lin showed the report to James Walker. 27 factions. Coordinated. Quiet. But preparing for a massive strike? "How soon?" James asked. "Days? Maybe hours." James didn't flinch. He simply said, "Let's end this." Operation Final Echo began, not with ships, not with bombs, but with words. Earth sent one message to every corner of the galaxy, every leader, every civilian, every enemy. James Walker stood before the camera, cold and steady. "You asked who we are now? We are the ones who came in peace. You stabbed us. We are the ones who warned. You ignored us. We are the ones who held back. You mocked us." He paused. "You asked for monsters. So we gave you legends. This is your final choice. Stand beside us or fall before us." The message echoed across the stars. Some enemies paused. Some broke away from act, too afraid to continue, but others did not. The Red Pact launched their surprise attack. 5 systems hit at once. They believed Earth would be slow to respond. They forgot what humans had become in under 3 hours. The sky turned red with fire. Earth's response was not just fast, it was unstoppable. Revenant-class destroyers tore through fleets like paper. Ghost. Teams elite human strike units infiltrated command ships before the alarms even sounded, and above the burning remains of a red-packed capital, humans broadcast one last warning: this is your punishment. There will not be another. On Council World, ambassadors gathered in shock. The Vonnery speaker whispered, "We created them." The Drask replied, "No, we revealed them." In the aftermath, the galaxy looked at Earth with new eyes. Not just with fear, but with awe. Because Earth hadn't taken new planets. They hadn't claimed the Council. They didn't build an empire. They just stood tall, unbroken, unbent, unafraid. A reporter on Zenthra recorded a message for the history books. The galaxy made one mistake. Saw kindness as weakness. They saw smiles as softness. And they pushed too far. Now every child knows the truth. Humanity is not to be provoked. Humanity is not to be pitied. Humanity is to be respected. Years later, in a peaceful colony, a teacher told the story to her class. A young alien boy raised his hand and asked, "Did humans become monsters?" She smiled gently. "No, they became legends." On Earth, a statue of Dr. Leah Morgan stood tall in the new Hall of Resolve, the plaque read, "In her death." They woke the storm. In our pain, they learned the price. But in our strength, they learned respect. In orbit, aboard Unity 1, James Walker prepared to step down. He looked out at the stars one last time. "Gideon," the AI asked quietly, "did we win, sir?" James answered without turning, "We didn't want to win, just wanted peace. But now, we own peace." In deep space, old enemies now trained under Earth's command. Treaties were signed. Borders respected, and the legend spread. Further, not just of war, but of balance. Because the humans, the ones who were polite, patient, and slow to anger, had proven something terrifying and beautiful. When you push kindness into fire, it becomes something unstoppable.